Here is a combined summary of the 2 pages. Cross-domain policy transfer remains a significant challenge for autonomous agents, particularly when agents are not allowed to interact with an exact target setup. Prior approaches have predominantly focused on learning domain translation, but often struggle with handling significant domain gaps or out-of-distribution tasks. This paper presents a simple approach for cross-domain policy transfer that learns a shared latent representation across domains and a common abstract policy on top of it. The approach leverages multi-domain behavioral cloning on unaligned trajectories of proxy tasks and employs maximum mean discrepancy, MMD, as a regularization term to encourage cross-domain alignment. The MMD regularization better preserves structures of latent state distributions than commonly used domain-discriminative distribution matching, leading to higher transfer performance. The method involves training only one multi-domain policy, which makes extension easier than existing methods. Empirical evaluations demonstrate the efficacy of the method across various domain shifts, especially in scenarios where exact domain translation is challenging, such as cross-morphology or cross-viewpoint settings. The approach is illustrated in Figure 1, which shows a shared representation space and a common policy. The state projection onto the common latent space, the prediction of latent actions from the common state space, and the decoding of latent actions to each domain are modeled as a state encoder phi, a common policy pi-z, and an action decoder psi, respectively. The proposed method does not rely on exact cross-domain correspondence and translation. Instead, it learns a shared latent representation across different domains and a common abstract policy on top of it. After achieving the alignment, the common policy can be updated for the target task using any learning algorithm with the mappings between the shared space and the original domains frozen. The method is compared to existing methods that rely on adversarial generation and other factors on top of generated elements, which can be unstable and unreliable. In contrast, the proposed approach leverages multi-domain behavioral cloning and MMD regularization to achieve cross-domain alignment. Empirical evaluations and ablation studies demonstrate the effectiveness of the proposed method, which outperforms existing methods, particularly in scenarios where exact domain translation is challenging. The paper addresses the challenge of transferring knowledge from a source domain to a target domain in the context of lifelong learning agents. The authors propose a novel approach that focuses on representation alignment, enabling the transfer of policies across domains without requiring online interaction or fine-tuning. The authors first discuss related work in unsupervised domain adaptation, distribution matching, and correspondence learning. They highlight the importance of matching feature distributions between domains to maximize domain confusion, and introduce various metrics used for distribution matching, including maximum mean discrepancy, MMD, and domain discriminative loss. The authors then describe their approach, which involves learning state and action mappings between domains to acquire a domain shared feature space. They assume the existence of a common latent MDP structure shared between the source and target domains, and aim to learn the state mapping functions phi-x and phi-y, and action mapping functions xi-x and xi-y, to enable policy transfer. The proposed algorithm consists of 2 phases, alignment and adaptation. In the alignment phase, the authors train all modules of the policy via behavioral cloning, BC, and regularization terms using trajectories of proxy tasks to obtain cross-domain representation alignment of latent states SZ. In the adaptation phase, they only update the common policy built on a fixed representation space SZ to adapt to the target task in the source domain. The authors also provide an overview of the training and inference procedure of their method, illustrating the alignment and adaptation phases. They formalize the problem of transferring knowledge from a source MDP to a target MDP, assuming the existence of state and action mappings that translate states and actions between domains. The author's approach is distinct from previous methods, as it predicts actions without learning cross-domain mappings and focuses on the shared structure, utilizing multi-domain BC for representation alignment. They claim that their approach can handle larger and more diverse domain shifts, and provide an interpretation of what happens inside foundation policy models from the perspective of domain adaptation via representation alignment. Published at the 3rd Conference on Lifelong Learning Agents, CALL is, 2024. This paper presents a novel approach to aligning representations across different domains and tasks using multi-domain behavioral cloning (BC), with maximum mean discrepancy (MMD), loss and temporal cycle consistency (TCC). The authors aim to learn a shared latent space for state representations that can be used across various domains and tasks without requiring domain-specific state information. The proposed method involves training a network with a state encoder, common policy, and action decoder. The authors use a combination of BC loss, MMD loss, and optionally TCC loss to shape the aligned representation space. BC loss encourages the model to learn a relationship between raw states and corresponding expert actions, while MMD loss aligns the latent state distributions across domains. TCC loss is used to enforce cycle consistency between corresponding frames in the latent space, further improving the alignment. The authors demonstrate the effectiveness of their approach through experiments on a maze environment, where they show that their method can obtain a shared latent space that keeps the original structure of the state representations. They also compare their approach with discriminative training and observe that MMD is more suitable for achieving modest alignment while preserving the original structure of the latent space. In conclusion, this paper introduces a new method for aligning state representations across different domains and tasks, leveraging multi-domain BC with MMD and TCC losses. This approach has potential applications in various areas such as robotics, autonomous driving, and healthcare, where domain adaptation is crucial for achieving robust performance. The research focuses on lifelong learning agents, specifically on policy adaptation and alignment across different domains. It introduces portable latent policy, PLP, which updates the common policy on top of an aligned latent space. The adaptation phase can be done solely in the source domain using reinforcement learning. The method freezes the encoder and decoder weights during the process. Experiments are conducted to evaluate the alignment quality and the method's ability to achieve zero-shot cross-domain transfer across various settings. The results show that the regularization terms of PLP enhance the alignment quality, with the BC term significantly contributing to the alignment. The study also compares PLP with several baselines, including gamma, CDIL, and contextual policy, highlighting the effectiveness of PLP in achieving better alignment and transfer performance. Here is a combined summary of pages 9 and 10 of the research paper. The authors introduce PLP, a novel method for cross-domain policy transfer, which leverages implicit representation alignment of multi-domain behavioral cloning, BC, as a main ingredient. The method is evaluated on various tasks, including cross-robot, cross-viewpoint, and out-of-distribution (OOD) task settings. The results show that PLP outperforms existing methods, such as gamma and CDIL, in most settings, and achieves comparable or better performance than the baselines. The authors also investigate the effect of each loss term on transfer performance by removing terms from the objective or replacing the maximum mean discrepancy, MMD, loss with the domain-discriminative loss. The results indicate that the MMD loss effectively enhances the performance of PLP, whereas the contribution of task-consistent constraints, TCC, is task-dependent. In addition, the authors visualize the latent state distributions for maze experiments, showing that the MMD loss aligns the representations while preserving their original structure, whereas domain-discriminative training can disrupt them. The results also demonstrate that PLP can adapt to unseen tasks, whereas contextual policy struggles to adapt to OOD tasks. The ablation study shows that PLP DISC, which uses a discriminative distribution matching, performs lower than PLP in P2A and V2V environments, where the domain discrepancy is large. The BC-only variant, which uses only the behavioral cloning term, achieves comparable performance to PLP in some environments, but fails to adapt to highly OOD tasks. The authors identify limitations of PLP, including unstable performance and failure to adapt to complex OOD tasks in drastically different domains. Future work directions include combining PLP with large-scale datasets or pre-trained foundation policies, exploring approaches to utilize state-only demonstrations, and developing strategies for continually accepting new domains in the context of lifelong learning. The research presented on pages 11 and 12 of the paper discusses various aspects of lifelong learning agents, focusing on transfer learning, domain adaptation, and imitation learning. It highlights the importance of understanding and leveraging the relationships between different tasks and domains to improve the generalizability of robotic skills. The authors emphasize the need for robust and efficient transfer learning methods that can adapt to new tasks and environments. They discuss the use of optimal transport for domain adaptation, which enables the transfer of skills across different domains. The paper also explores imitation learning strategies, including the use of generative models to learn from observations and the importance of feature alignment for successful skill transfer. The authors highlight several key contributions, including the development of new datasets and models that facilitate transfer learning and the demonstration of improved performance in real-world robotic control tasks. Overall, the research aims to advance the field of lifelong learning agents by providing new insights and methodologies for improving the adaptability and generalizability of robotic skills. Title: Cross-domain imitation learning for robot tasks. This paper presents a novel approach to cross-domain imitation learning, enabling robots to learn from human demonstrations in one domain and apply this knowledge in another. The authors leverage advances in reinforcement learning, domain adaptation, and generative models to create an efficient and effective method for transferring skills across different domains. The proposed method utilizes a combination of reinforcement learning algorithms, such as proximal policy optimization, PPO, and domain adaptation techniques, such as maximum mean discrepancy, MMD, to ensure that the learned policies are domain invariant. This allows the robot to perform tasks in new environments without requiring extensive retraining. The authors also employ generative models, specifically cycle-GAN, to generate synthetic images from the target domain that can be used for training. This approach significantly reduces the need for real-world data collection and speeds up the learning process. Experiments were conducted using various robotic tasks, including object manipulation and navigation. Results show that the proposed method outperforms baseline methods in terms of both performance and efficiency. Furthermore, the authors demonstrate the ability to transfer skills between different robotic platforms, highlighting the versatility of their approach. In conclusion, this paper introduces a groundbreaking method for cross-domain imitation learning that has the potential to revolutionize how robots learn and adapt. By leveraging reinforcement learning, domain adaptation, and generative models, the authors have created a system capable of transferring complex skills across domains, paving the way for more advanced and flexible robotic systems. The additional algorithm table presents a novel approach to task adaptation using imitation, where the state encoder and action decoder are trained using algorithm 1. This method demonstrates the ability to adapt to new tasks by leveraging a dataset used in ALG 1 for regulation. The results show a significant improvement in alignment scores when using top 5 accuracy, as seen in Figure 7. The transfer performance from an agent with 4 legs to an agent with 6 legs, known as the ant-to-spider task, is also discussed, with PLP performing best among the methods. The complexity of alignment is analyzed in terms of the number of demonstrations and proxy tasks, revealing a positive correlation, but with diminishing returns. The effect of increasing the number of source domains is investigated, showing a performance drop, especially when the number of domains increases without proportionally increasing the number of trajectories. The sensitivity of the performance to the coefficient hyperparameter for the MMD is also explored, with PLP showing moderate sensitivity. These findings contribute to a deeper understanding of lifelong learning agents and their adaptability in complex environments. The research paper discusses the performance of a lifelong learning agent, PLP, in various domains such as P2P medium, P2A medium, R2R lift, and V2V reach. PLP is a policy that adapts to new tasks by aligning representations across domains. The authors explore the relationship between the coefficient of the regularization term and success rate in PLP. They also present the success rates of PLP with state input for the action decoder in R2R and V2V reach, and compare it with Gamma's performance when receiving state input for the action translation function. The paper also extends the applicability of PLP to scenarios where actions from the source domains are unavailable. In such cases, the authors replace action prediction with next state prediction, decoupling a PLP policy into next state prediction and inverse dynamics model. The results are presented in Table 6, showing limited performance compared to the original setting. Additionally, the paper includes visualizations of corresponding states in the latent space of PLP obtained in R2R lift and V2V reach. It demonstrates the trajectories of agents to observe their actual behavior, comparing PLP with contextual, gamma, and BC agents in different tasks. These visualizations highlight PLP's ability to successfully adapt to new tasks and environments, while other agents struggle due to the lack of adaptation capability or finding exact correspondence between domains. The authors present visualization results of the latent space in the R2R lift task using TSNE, showcasing the closest states in the source and target domains. Figure 11 illustrates that while some arm positions are similar across domains, others exhibit positional deviations. Additionally, the distributions of latent states in V2V reach are visualized, revealing clusters formed by each ID, corresponding to different ball colors, in consistent positions across domains. The experiment details section describes the environments used, which are based on D4RL. The point agent has a 4-dimensional state space and 2-dimensional action space, while the ant agent has a 29-dimensional state space and 8-dimensional action space. The tasks involve navigating through mazes with varying starting zones and goal locations. In P2P, the source domain is constructed by swapping x and y-axis observations and multiplying actions by 1. Figures 13 and 14 display trajectories of agents in P2 PUD and P2 medium, respectively, demonstrating the ability of the agents to adapt to new environments. In R2R lift, the authors employ the RoboSuite framework, utilizing the Sawyer and UR5E robots for cross-robot transfer. The task involves lifting a block to a certain height, with 27 tasks defined by varying initial object positions. In V2V reach and V2V open, the meta-world benchmark is used, with different viewpoints employed for the source and target domains. The robot observes proprioceptive states and images from specific viewpoints, with a 4-dimensional action space. The task in V2V reach involves reaching a ball of a specific color, requiring the agent to interpret visual observations correctly. Overall, the authors provide a comprehensive overview of the experiment setup, highlighting the complexities of the tasks and environments used to test cross-domain and cross-robot transfer. The visualization results demonstrate the ability of the agents to adapt to new situations, while the environment details emphasize the challenges of lifelong learning in diverse and dynamic scenarios. The research discusses the lifelong learning of agents in various environments, focusing on the R2R lift and V2V reach tasks. In R2R lift, agents learn to navigate through rooms to reach goals, while in V2V reach, they learn to open or close windows. The authors introduce novel methods for representation alignment and out-of-distribution actions. They evaluate the success rates of proxy tasks and target tasks, showing promising results. The dataset includes state action trajectories of expert demonstrations across multiple tasks. For training, the authors employ a multi-layer perceptron (MLP) for the policy architecture and a convolutional network for visual inputs in V2V. The results demonstrate the effectiveness of their approach in lifelong learning, particularly in adapting to new tasks and environments. Here is the combined summary of pages 23 and 24 of the research paper. The authors employ a lifelong learning approach to tackle the problem of adapting to unseen goals in various environments. They propose a novel objective function that combines maximum mean discrepancy, MMD, and temporal contrastive coding, TCC, to align the representations across different domains. The MMD term ensures that the representations are domain invariant, while the TCC term captures the temporal relationships between states and actions. The authors use an AtomW optimizer with a learning rate of 5e4 and a batch size of 256 for the maze environments, and 1e4 and 512 for R2R lift, respectively. In the adaptation phase, the authors use about 400 trajectories towards an unseen goal to update the common policy for 50 epochs. They also mix the dataset for alignment to prevent domain-specific components from leaking into the common policy. Weight decay is used to stabilize the alignment and performance in P2P and P2A environments, with a coefficient of 1e5. A Gaussian kernel is used for MMD, with a bandwidth of 1 in all experiments. The authors also normalize the distance by the average pairwise distance in a batch to mitigate the issue of decreased representation scale. The authors evaluate their approach on various environments, including maze, R2R, and V2 volts, and compare it with baselines such as gamma, CDIL, and contextual. They re-implement the algorithms by referring to the original papers and official implementations, and sweep the hyperparameters to select the best performing models. The results show that their approach outperforms the baselines in most environments, demonstrating the effectiveness of the proposed objective function in adapting to unseen goals.